Hi students, today we are going to read another nonfiction book. The title of this book is Sap to Syrup. It was written by Inez Snyder. She's our author. She wrote all of the words. Remember, nonfiction books teach us real information. There's facts in there. We often don't have illustrations. We have photographs. Sap to Syrup by Inez Snyder. Oh, here's a nonfiction text feature, the table of contents. It'll tell us what page we find this information on. So if I wanted to find out about maple trees, I would go to page 4. If I wanted to learn about what a sugar house is, I'd go to page 12. What if I wanted to find out about syrup? What page would I visit? 16. Here it says New Words is on page 22. That's the glossary. The new words I would need in order to understand this topic. It'll tell me all what those new words are, as well as what they mean. Let's visit the new words section, the glossary, and find out what special words we need to understand in order to know about our topic. New words. Boil. When a liquid gets very hot and it has bubbles on the surface. A bucket, a round container that's open at the top. Liquid, something wet that you can pour. Sap, the liquid made of water and sugar that flows through a plant carrying water and food from one part of the plant to another, because plants like to eat water and sugar. Spout, a tube placed in the side of a maple tree through which the sap would flow. Sugar house, the building in which the sap is boiled until it becomes syrup. And syrup, which is a sweet, thick liquid made from the sap of maple trees that's poured over pancakes and other foods. So if we see the word boil, bucket, liquid, sap, spout, sugar house, or syrup, we know that those are very special words we would need to understand in order to talk about our topic like we're an expert. Sometimes in nonfiction books, they'll even make those words bold. See? That's bold text. These 3 words, syrup, sap, and liquid, are all going to be bold text. That means that each of the letters in those words will be a little thicker than they are anywhere else. See? The P in the word syrup, it's much thicker than the P in the word maple. It's much darker and thicker. It's bold text. Syrup is made from the sap inside maple trees. Sap is a liquid made of water and sugar. First, the sap must be gathered. A hole is drilled into the side of the tree. How does this photograph help us understand the words? You're right. They told us that first we have to gather the sap from the tree. We have to get it. To do that, they're going to drill a hole into the side of the tree. So our photograph is of someone using a drill to drill a hole into the side of the tree. A spout is placed in the hole. Remember, we learned that a spout was something that they put in the hole that the sap could drip out of. There's a picture of it. The photograph helps us understand what they mean when they say spout. That's a spout. The sap drips out of the spout. A bucket is hung on the tree. The sap drips into the bucket. When enough sap has been gathered, it is taken to the sugar house. This is the sugar house. There, the sap will be turned into syrup. What materials did they need? They needed a maple tree. They needed a drill. They needed a spout, and they needed a bucket. They needed all of those materials just to get the sap. But once they have the sap, they take it to the sugar house. Let's find out how they turn that into syrup. Inside the sugar house, the sap is cooked. It must boil. After the sap has boiled for a long time, it becomes thicker and darker. Now it is syrup. The syrup is put into bottles. See, our photograph always goes with the text. The text says the syrup is put into bottles, and that photograph shows us the bottles that they put it in. Many people like maple syrup. It tastes great on pancakes. So that's that new words page, the glossary page. And because it's a nonfiction book, it'll also have an index in the back of the book. It tells us, there's the special word boil. It tells us what page we find the special words on. Can you tell me what they did first to make syrup? Yes, first they gather the sap. Then they boil the sap in the sugar house. Then they put it into bottles. And last, you can use it on your pancakes. Thank you for reading Sap to Syrup with me.